up and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for the fantasy film Pinocchio. Now this is an Italian version of the Pinocchio tale, and it's actually based more on like the 1883 book The Adventures of Pinocchio, I guess, versus like the actual Disney film from 1940. So this basically is like the Pinocchio story, but like really done like in Italian fashion. Now one of the things I must admit I thought was kind of interesting about it, when I went to see it in the theaters, it had like the actual like words that they were speaking. When they were speaking, they actually had a dub in English, so you didn't have to read subtitles. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but at the same time, it was kind of throwing it off because when they be talking, like the characters be talking, their mouths were in lip sync with the actual words, you know, that were actually being spoken, because you can tell it was actually English there. But I thought it was still a pretty decent film. Now all the characters of like Pinocchio, Geppetto, you know, and so on, all of them are here. And I thought it was interesting getting a good look at like the story of Pinocchio again, but from like an entire perspective, because you get to see Geppetto. He actually makes like and I want to touch on these actors and stuff names, but their names I'm not too really familiar with. I don't even know how to pronounce some of them. Like the guy that plays Geppetto, I think his name is Roberto Benigni. See, I don't even know how to say that. Then you have Pinocchio. He's played by Federico Lilapi. I think that's how you pronounce it. Okay, so Lilapi also did like his voice too. He did provide the voice of Pinocchio too. But yeah, like it's good getting like a good look at their actual characters. You know, you get to see like Geppetto make Pinocchio out of wood, and I forget that Pinocchio is like a fantasy tale, so they really have no explanation for why it's like puppets. I mean, walking around talking like huge whales, like fairies, and all that kind of stuff. You know, all that mythical, like fantasy stuff. There's like no explanation for it, because that is just like the world of Pinocchio. And I forget that too, you know, because it's been a while since I saw like the actual Disney one. But yeah, you get to see him actually make the wood out of where he makes Pinocchio out of the wood, and he wants like a son. He wants to have like a child so bad, so he makes him like a boy out of the wood, and it becomes like a live puppet. And you can tell he was like okay with it, because this kind of stuff really exists in the world of Pinocchio. So he tries to teach Pinocchio to be like good, like go to school, take his books, and do good things. But he keeps going off and getting into like trouble. He wants to like go through like bad things, not go to school, you know, like Pinocchio himself, you know, he gets into trouble and so on, and then he ends up going on all these adventures and so on. Then eventually Geppetto, he tries to find what happened to like Pinocchio, and that's when he disappears. And he's actually gone for like most of the film, not spoiler alert, he's like there at the beginning, but then like from like the half of the film, like the second half, it's like he's gone throughout the whole film. It's just like Pinocchio itself. But I thought the film itself was it was pretty entertaining. It's very similar to the Pinocchio tale, like when he lies or something. It's like a scene where he's lying, his nose grows long, then when he turns like the donkey with the ears, and he becomes like a full donkey. Even like the huge well, you know, that Geppetto goes in, all that is there in the film, you know. And of course Pinocchio, he wants to be like a human boy, he doesn't want to be like a wooden boy too, and so on. So I thought this was a pretty solid film, and it is like funny, you know. It's very funny, like it's like a lot of comedy and so on. So I really thought that was like funny. Now I must admit, the actual visual effects of like Pinocchio itself, I'm still really not sure if that was actually makeup that Federico had on, like the boy, or was it actually like a visual effect. I'm sure he was actually there, but it's like the makeup and the visuals, it really blended so well, you know. I really couldn't tell if he was actually like makeup, but I really believe that was CGI, but it looked too good for it to be a CGI. It was like just too realistic. That's why I think he kind of had on makeup. You can definitely tell that he was there, like the actual body itself, and they probably motion capture the actual wooden Pinocchio on him, you know. That's what I'm betting they did, because it looked too real, you know. It didn't look too real to be CGI, so I just want to touch on that. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty entertaining take on the Pinocchio story. And this was actually released in 2019, like in Italy, but then they broke it here in America like last year. So I'm going to give this like a straight up B. Like I said, I did enjoy it. You know, it was like funny and so on. And this is another film I feel like that just kept going on too long. This is like a long film, you know. But I would definitely recommend for fans of like the Pinocchio tale. So I'm going to please leave a comment and subscribe to as well.